Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your attendance tonight. In this sitting, we will have 3 persons for one delegate, and we will have 2 countries delegate, which is Indonesian and Australian side. Also, there is 3 judges in this room, so after all, there is 9 persons here at the time. The sitting will now begin. I invited Mr. Muhammad Raihan, Mr. Firmansyah Fijri, and Mr. Raihan Atalah Malik Agustiar to give their statement about their case, which was existency of the ESMO Reef for Indonesian people as the Indonesian delegate. Also, I invited Mr. Muhammad Tur Iman Santoso, Mr. Ardian Cahya Wijaya Muzamil, and Mr. Fadlisyah Hindrawan Berlian to give their statement about the argument from the Indonesian side as Australian delegate. I would like for each delegate to presentate for the maximum time of 15 minutes before continuing to hear the next presentation. Remember to follow the reference and not rush too much for all of the delegate in this room. The presentation will begin from the Indonesian first. Mr. Firmansyah Fijri, the time will start running right after your first word.
Your Honor, the Sand Island cluster was a territory of Dutch Indies colony in the archipelago, or now Indonesia, and occupied by Indonesia fishermen from 1609 to the 1970s. Before the signing of MOU 1974 by 2 officials representing the National Ambassador of Indonesia and Agricultural Department of Australia, which regulate the rights of fishermen on the Sand Island. The place is located at Dutch Indies with the distance of only 60 miles to the sea from Rote Island, Rotendao District, is Nusa Tenggara. Based on history, there were 18 kingdoms existed on the island itself hundreds of years ago, with 2 of them being turned into the Thai village and the Papela village respectively. For generations, the natives lived as anglers, doing their occupation on the territory that was stated in MOU Box 1974. On the mid-18th century, VOC intensively in the making of regulation on sea cucumbers, gathering expedition done by people of Makassar and Chinese people who had sailed past the south of Timor and Rote Island to reach the Sand Island. The revealed historical notes at very least broke the truth regarding many testimonies and recognition from the senior resident of both Rote and Timor Island that at the certain time the fishermen who voyaged to Sand Island on the south of two islands would have to have a voyage or a license from the custom. The anglers of Indonesia actually has already inhabited the Sand Island cluster on 1630s. The weak diplomacy of Indonesia is the reason behind the overlapping of Indonesia-Australia maritime boundaries management on the Timor Sea, which then became the advantage for Australia and Indonesia, resulting in sacrificing the anglers of Indonesia that made the Sand Island as the land of life. Historical facts record on the register of Dutch Indies General Governor on 1751, south of the Sand Island, the Dutch had never claimed the island that located approximately 320 kilometers north from Australia west coast and 140 kilometers south of Rote Island as their territory, which in fact belonged to the English. There are evidence that the Netherlands government ever managed the island, but they had never questioned it on 1878 when the government of England claimed the Sand Island on 1800. Indonesia was already under the colonial administration of Netherlands. The Sand Island on the south of Timor and Rote Island annexed by England on 1878.
Thank you, Mr. Firmansyah Fijri. Now, Mr. Muhammad Rehan will continue to present and explain about Indonesian waters and UNCLOS development.
Your Honor, geographically, the distance between the Sand Island and Rote Island is Nusa Tenggara, only measured at 80 miles, while the distance between it to North Australia, North Queensland measured at 400 miles. That affects the activities of the Indonesian fishermen, so on 1974, both Indonesia and Australia made an agreement not named Memorandum of Understanding or MOU that mainly regulates the permission of Indonesian fishermen to fish with boat. Then, on 1983, Australia announced Ashmore Reef, their naming of the Sand Island as their national nature preserve, and with it came the law to limit the fishermen's activities on the water area of the Sand Island. On 1986, Australia proposed a draft regarding a new agreement to replace the 1974 MOU, but the government of Indonesia rejected it. The three wells on coconut trees on the island are the heritage of ship captain Amarohi, a sailor from Sabu Island who lived on the Sand Island long before the arrival of Captain Samuel Ashmore. Following the tradition, the people of Sabu were able to trace their ancestors up to 60 descendants before them due to it becoming an important thing in the local religious ritual, especially on funerals. Thus, it is easy to track the timeline between the arrivals of both Captain Amarohi and Captain Samuel Ashmore. The Angels of Rote Island recollect the time of Ashmore's arrival. This island have been taken care of by the fifth generation of Rohi. The fifth generation was also known as Samu, in which the order of the generation were Ana, Upu, Sorok, Sak, and Samu. Putting an example, if a generation lived in a span of 25 years, then Ashmore's arrival were dead around 125 after Rohi obtained the customary rights of the Sand Island. See territorial boundaries determination as written in Territoriale Zen and Maritime Kringen Ordonnantie, 1939, Article 1 or Paragraph 1 are not suitable with the consideration above due to the land territory of Indonesia were separated one another. Based on those considerations, our government has stated that every territorial waters around, in between, and those that connect the island within Indonesia without looking at the land of Indonesia, and therefore parts of the inland or national territory are under the absolute sovereignty of Indonesia. The peaceful traffic on in the inland waters are safe guaranteed for foreign watercrafts, as long as they are not offending nor disturbing the sovereignty and safety of the country. The determination of the sea territorial boundaries that are 12 miles wide was measured from the lines that connected the furthermost island of Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Rehan. Now, Mr. Rehan Atalah Malik Agustiar will continuing to presentate and explain about after Juanda's declaration.
Yes, Your Honor. So the mentioned announcement of Indonesian government, which now known as Juanda's Declaration, were prepared for the Law of the Sea Conference in Geneva in February 1958. Indonesia kept continuing the policy concerning the nation's sovereignty regarding the water territories and resources within the territories themselves. Juanda's declaration were emphasized jurisdictionally formal with the Constitution, discussing the water territories of Indonesia. With the mentioned regulation, the water territories of Indonesia changed from 2,027,087 square kilometers to 5,193,250 square kilometers. The addition to the territories consisted of 3,166,163 square kilometers of waters. Below are the pictures of map boundaries based on territorial zone and maritime Kringen Ordonnancy, in which the Indonesian waters are only measured up to 3 miles from island's coastline before Juanda's declaration. The 1982 Law of the Sea Convention, in Article 49, stated the law status of island waters area above, and the seabed below. First point, the archipelago state fully reigned over their water territories without looking at the depths or the distance from the coast, and the full sovereignty covers the airspace above, the seabed and land below, and resources within. Second point, the archipelago state must establish their archipelagic sea lanes and peaceful traffic lanes for international voyages. Third point, the archipelago state have the obligation to respect the contract access with other countries, admitting traditional fishing rights and respecting submarine cables installed by other countries within the island's water territories as commanded in Article 51 of the 1982 Law of the Sea Convention. Exclusive economy zone is the outer territory and adjoin with territorial sea that submit to a special legal regime which contains rights and jurisdiction of coastal country, rights and obligation of other countries regulated in 1982 UNCLOS Convention. The width of the EEZ for every coastal countries are 200 miles, as commanded in Article 57 of the UNCLOS Convention, and quoted. The exclusive economic zone shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baselines from which the breadth of the territorial sea is measured, which means that the EEZ, or exclusive economic zone, cannot exclude 200 miles of sea from the line where the territorial sea are measured.
Thank you so much for the Indonesian delegates for your statements. Now we will continue forward to hear the statements from the Australian side, starting now from Mr. Ardian Cahaya Muzamil. You may continue.
Thank you, Yohanner. Indonesia consider the Asmar Reef area to be a former Dutch colony, and Indonesia has the right to acquire the island. This is counter to the fact that the Dutch do not admit that they ever controlled by the Asmar Reef. Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch, so the entire territory of Indonesia was a former Dutch colony. And they have no right to control areas that are not former Dutch colony, such as East Timor, which was controlled by Portugal, North Borneo, and the Asmar Reef, which were controlled by the England. Especially the Asmar Reef, England gave the right to control to Australia as the new territorial holder. Australia has strong legal evidence the Asmar Reef belonged to the Australian government. This is evidenced by the handover of colony by the British in 1931, and Australia carried out an effective administration by the entering Asmar Reef into the territory of Western Australia. Indonesia only has historical evidence that traditional Indonesian fishermen have been fishing for 400 years, which is not sufficient proof of ownership of Asmar Reef, and also because during the colonial period, the Dutch did not carry out administrative activity on Asmar Reef, and according to the Dutch government, Asmar Reef didn't include in the Dutch colony. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ardian Muzamil, for the statements. Now we will continue to hear the statement from Mr. Muhammad Nuriman Santoso. You may continue.
Yes. Based on this map, the proximity of Australia Carteret Island to Asmar Reef, this is the reason for Australian claim to Asmar Reef. Asmar Reef was annexed by the England in 1878. Together with Carteret Island, Asmar Reef was given to Australia and 23 July 1931, which eventually became part of the northern region of Australia in 1938 until 1978, where there are very abundant natural resources, namely oil and natural gas. After experiencing development, since 1978, Asmara and Carthay Island became separate territories, and Asmara was made a national nature reserve by the Australian government on 16 August 1983. By placing the coordinate of Asmara in the map of the boundary of agreement between Indonesia and Australia, it is clear that Asmara in the Australia Exclusive Economic Zone region. Asmara is one of the many coral clusters located at the southwestern tip of the Australian continent in the eastern part of the Indian Ocean, 12 degrees 13 minutes south latitude and 123 degrees 5 minutes east longitude. The cluster, which is claimed to be part of Australian territory, is located closer to Rote Island in East Nusa Tenggara, only 78 miles or about 145 kilometers, while in Australia distance is about 190 miles or about 350 kilometers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Nur Iman Santoso, for the statement. Now we will continue to hear the statement from Mr. Fadlisha Hindrawan Berlian. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Australia, as the party that considers the Ashmore Reef as its territory, has the following grounds to claim the Ashmore Reef. 1. The cession agreement from Britain to Australia on 23rd of July 1931. 2. Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between the Government of Indonesia and the Australian government in 1974, and the Perth Agreement between Indonesia and Australia in 1997. Regarding fishing by Indonesian traditional fishermen in the exclusive fishing zone and the Australian continental shelf. Based on this agreement, Indonesia recognized Ashmore Reef and the surrounding seawaters as part of Australia's sovereignty, but following the applicable international law of the sea, Australia is obligated to continue to respect and allow Indonesian traditional fishermen to fish in the waters around Ashmore Reef within the boundaries set out in the MOU 1974 and the 1997 Perth Agreement. 3. The principle of effectiveness. According to this principle, state ownership of a territory is determined by the effective enforcement of national laws in that area. In connection with the application of Australian sovereignty over the Ashmore Reef, since the handover of Ashmore Reef from Britain to Australia in 1931, then in 1938 until 1978, Australia established Ashmore Reef as part of the territory of North Australia's government. Furthermore, on August 16, 1983, Australia designated Ashmore Reef as Australia's National Nature Reserve Park. 4. Various international jurisprudence issued by the International Court of Justice and the International Arbitration Court, which established effective occupation through obtaining the territory of a country, such as the arbitration court decision in the Palmas Island case between the Netherlands and the United States. 1928, or the International Court decree regarding the ownership status of Sipadan and Ligitan between Indonesia, versus Malaysia. Asmar Reef, 100% owned by Australia and Indonesia, has no right recognized power over the area and is strengthened by the international law Uti Possidetis Juris. So it applies the provision that a country inherits territory previously occupied by its colonial state. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Indonesian and Australian delegates. So we are already here, the presentation from both sides about this case, and here is the legal basis that will be the main key of this case. The 1982 Law of the Sea Convention in Article 49 state that the law status of island waters are above and the seabed below. 1. The archipelago state fully reign over their water territories without looking at the depths or the distance from the coast, and the full sovereignty covers the airspace above, the seabed, and land below, and resources within. 2. The archipelago state must establish their archipelagic sea lanes and peaceful traffic lanes for international voyage. 3. The archipelago state have the obligation to respect the contract axis with other countries, admitting traditional fishing rights and respecting submarine cables installed by other countries within these island water territories as commanded in Article 51 of the 1982 Law of the Sea Convention. Exclusive economic zone is the other territory and adjoined with the territorial sea that submit to a special legal regime which contains right and jurisdiction of coastal country, right and obligation of other countries regulated in 1982 UNCLOS Convention. The width of ZEE for every coastal countries are 200 miles as commanded in Article 57 of the UNCLOS Convention, and quote, the exclusive economic zone shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baseline from which the breadth of the territorial sea is measured, which means that the exclusive economic zone cannot exclude 200 miles of sea from the line where the territorial sea are measured.
Okay. With the signing of the 1974 MOU Box Agreement between Indonesia and Australia, which regulates the rights and obligation of traditional anglers, fishing provisions, and other provisions in the cluster of Saint Island. Then in 1989, namely the agreed minutes of meeting between officials of Indonesian and Australia of fisheries, and the last one on March 14, 1997 in Perth, agreement on exclusive economic zone, EEZ, and sea boundaries, but due to weaknesses regarding Indonesian diplomacy, the maritime boundary agreements between Area Australia in the Timor Sea overlaps, ultimately benefiting Australia and sacrificing traditional Indonesia fishermen, who have made the Sand Island as the land of life. On the way, there were many violations carried out by Indonesian fishermen. One kind of offense often done by Indonesian traditional anglers is taking certain types of marine resources as part of biological natural resources prohibited, such as taking turtles and birds and their eggs. Offense on the use of facilities used in fishing activities where the facility is not in accordance with what has been established through MOU Box 1974 and Agreed Minuter 1989.
So the conclusion of this case is both countries need to negotiate to make some regulations about this island, whether the Indonesian fishermen able to catch fishes around the island and any other things needed. And if there is no agreement, then this case need to bring back again to the International Court of Justice. After hearing the statement from both delegates, we will state that this island will belong to Australia based on Uti Possidetis Juris. Uti Possidetis Juris, or UPZ, is a principle of customary international law that serves to preserve the boundaries of colonies emerging as states. Thank you so much, and this case is closed.